question is, can you, if you own two homes and you own free and clear, or close to, can you pull money out of one home and use it to build an ADU on your second property? And the answer is absolutely. You can do whatever it is you want with your money. If you simply just pulling cash out, like a home equity line or refinancing with cash out, once we give you that cash,
Do whatever.
whatever.
Okay, that's fine, that's fine.
Guys, let's raise hands. Right here, and then Jim, we'll go to you next. Okay, right here, sir, go ahead.
Okay, in the area, certain people, they will need to demolish the pool in order to build ADU. So after the people fill up the pool by following the code, is there any particular waiting period before building the ADU?
The question was about removing a pool and how long do you have to wait before you build an ADU. Typically, you have to do compaction tests before you can build, and once you meet that, okay, it just depends on the company you hire and how good of a job they do. But you can do infill and compaction, and it just depends. And real, unfortunately, around here, everyone's got clay soil, so it'll move a little.
Jim?
I just wanted to clarify, so you can get a loan, I own two homes, and my second home, I wanna take out, they're both paid for, I wanna take out money on my first home to build an ADU in my second home. But at the beginning it said, you have to live in it, so why would I take money out to put an ADU in a second home if I'm not living there? Then I'm not in compliance, right? So you could do it.
Depends on the county.
Yeah. Well, only, I mean, we've already heard that there's only two, so I just wanted to clarify that, because it sounded like there may be some.
So
Yeah.
if you have two properties,
Yeah.
okay, and
Yeah.
you're living in one, and that you most likely then are renting out the second one, you take the money out of the rental property
Right.
to put the ADU on the property
Primary
you're
property.
living in, right?
The one you're living in.
Yeah.
I mean, like you said, it could be Berkeley, it could be Oakland, it could be
Right.
that the second home is, or the first home, or whatever you want is a vacation.
You need to do your
It just needs to be your
homework.
primary residence that you
Yeah.
add the ADU.
Gentleman in the black,
There's
and
probably
then,
other reasons.
and then we'll go with you. You had your hand up a lot. So back there, sir.
Okay, great. Got a couple of questions. The first one is, what are the loan limits for FHA financing on a triplex?
The answer is FHA will go up to 96.5% financing.
I'm sorry, what's the amount though? Like, is it
Oh,
700, 800?
in our area, it's $680,000.
600, okay.
Yeah, I round up, it's 679, 650, but for easy math, for
He's talking on a triplex.
For three
So
units.
Alameda is $1 million. Oh, I'm a lender. $1,051,875. Okay.
Say that again?
things.
Yeah, because I don't remember it. $1,051,875. So $1,051,875.
Okay, good.
And a fourplex is $1,307,175.
Awesome, thank you. Second question is, I'm working on a listing in Alameda County. It's in Castro Valley, and it's governed by the county. And it does have already an existing ADU. I'm not sure if the building itself was built, I went and checked the permits. The building itself was built with permits as a hobby room. But through the years, it would turn into like a cottage. It has a full kitchen, full bath, living space. It's about 300 to 400 square feet. And it's done very professionally. Vaulted ceilings, skylights. It's a really nice secondary unit. And so sometimes the counties or cities, when they issue permits, sometimes they don't keep accurate records. This thing looks very well done. However, it doesn't have a heating source that makes me question whether or not it was done legally. Because usually you have to have heat to make a place habitable. So from a lender perspective, would you still treat that as a viable secondary unit? And then for the appraiser or the builder, what would be the steps? How do you go with the county without creating a red flag and then they, one time, according to the owner, someone ratted out the owner saying there was a second bathroom in an attached workshop. And so the county came in and the owner told them, well, we have this cottage here. And then the county said, well, we know all about that. We just wanna see if you added another bathroom in this workshop area, like someone just filed a complaint against you. There was no other bathroom, it was just a sink for, in a workshop area. But yet, again, I'm just dubious about the legality of it. And I'm just trying to be careful as when I put it on the market.
Can you repeat that question?
It's a plea for help.
Yeah.
So let me try to take on the part about, compliance within the property, the ADU. Missing heating source, for example. That would be picked up by my friend, the appraisers.
Yes, yeah.
Okay, and then that's when my underwriters would say, no, gotta have a heating source, a permanent heating source. Now, the good news is, with the renovation loan, the 203K, either FHA or conventional home style, anything that is not in compliance can be put into compliance. And that's the whole purpose of the loan. So any little issues like that aren't issues with the 203K renovation loan. As long as we have a foundation, everybody, we can use the financing to build from there.
And yes, with regards to the appraiser, with no heat, it would not be considered a permanent living space. Just as if that detached building was actually an improved sunroom, or the enclosed patio that has been upgraded, and the enclosed patio may have been permitted, but not as gross living area. And if there's no heat, it's not gross living area. So no matter what you say your gross living area is in the MLS, if it has to have heat to be considered part of the gross living area as far as an appraiser is concerned.
And then from my side, adding heat is simple. You would do a mini split system. Secondary, I play this game too. I run into the same thing where I have clients who. So a lot of times I call, I say, I have a client, this is the situation, what are the steps to get this rectified? Usually what I have found is if you go in and ask for help, they're very willing to help. If they catch you after the fact, they're not as willing to help. But there are procedures in place now to help turn existing non-permitted ADUs into permitted ADUs, so they do have to help you. But you can at least do the little what is it required, because even though it looks professional, they still have to technically inspect to make sure it was done correctly, because it can look great on the outside and be a mess on the inside. So there's usually some holes that need to be cut and stuff like that. But if you ask for help, they're usually willing to help.
Thank you. Right here, and then on the end after.
Okay, this question is for you.
Okay.
Regarding the appraisal, earlier you mentioned that it could be a nightmare looking for the right comparable. Does it matter to you in terms of the difficulties, which neighborhood you are doing the appraisal for? For example, Cupertino versus Boca. In some places where, in most of the places where when you get a call, it doesn't tell you, okay, we allocate so much value for the main residence and we allocate so much value for the ADU. All you get is just a purchase price. How do you go about weighting the ADU's value versus the main residence? Is it higher, lower, or the same?
Okay. The question has to do with how an appraiser determines the value of the ADU in different areas and what percentage of the purchase price is contributing to the ADU versus the main house. And that goes back to, that is right now one of the reasons why it is more difficult for an appraiser to say this ADU is worth X number of dollars, because it shows up in the current MLS here as you have to, the agent has to write in to start with that there is an ADU or a secondary unit. Because if that isn't identified in the remarks, then we don't know that necessarily. So any additional information you as real estate agents can put in the remarks, and I'm guessing at some point down the line, the MLS input will change and there will be a space for ADU. I'm on the MLS committee, I'm working on it. But so that's why it takes more time and is more difficult, especially if you're looking at a community or an area where there aren't a lot of them or they weren't built that way. Right across Brunel here is a neighborhood where when the properties were built, the original owners had an option of putting a bonus room or a full apartment over the 3-car garage. So something in that particular development for an appraiser, it's fairly easy because we know, and if you work in this area a lot, what the square footage is of the house, and then what the square footage is of the space over the 3-car garage, and can very easily divide out that because the sales price is the sales price. But that's why it becomes more difficult for an appraiser to separate. In a lot of instances, and I do a lot of work in Oakland and Berkeley, and I'm working on a property right now that has a secondary unit in the lower level. And I'm going through all the comparables in the area and looking for words that could mean that there's a secondary unit and actually trying to contact the agents. And if the agents don't get back with me, it just makes my job more difficult. And I say this all the time and I say it often, the more information you can give an appraiser, the better the appraisal that I'm working on is going to be, and the better information that the person down the street who you just sold a property for is going to have about that comp that was sold that I'm working on. So please talk to us.
The question I have is, how much do you microanalyze
We have to.
the percentages between the ADU and the main house? A house might have a small percentage of which is made up of the ADU.
Right.
Another house might have a slightly bigger percentage
Right.
that's made up as ADU. How do you go about at making the adjustments?
There's a number of different analytical processes that we go through depending on what data we have. And that's, again, why it's important for me to know if that ADU is 400 square feet or 900 square feet. And without that data, I just have to make an estimate based on the information I can see in the pictures or from Google, depending on if it's freestanding or not, and the information I get from the realtor who sold the property or whose buyers bought the property. And without that information, I'm doing the value is somewhere between here and here for that ADU, and depending on what information I have, I may decide that I can only really put weight on the lower area, or I've got a whole bunch of information and I can say, yes, it's worth this much more, but I need to have that information. Not only of the house that I'm doing, but from the comparables that I've found that have ADUs. So it's not something that is a straightforward, it's X number of percent.
For a listing agent who's trying to persuade the owner that the ADU is perhaps worth less than the main house, square foot, dollar per square foot wise, what advice would you give to?
Hire an appraiser.
Yeah.
I get called, I've been working in this area for 36 years. There are a lot of local agents who, if they have questions like that, will call and say, can you come out and measure the house? Or can you come out and do, you know, an appraisal on the house? Because I can't get my seller to be realistic. Although, you know, in the last couple of years, it didn't matter if they were realistic or not, you just threw a price on it and things sold. But no, there are appraisers who will come in and help you with that.
Let's go here, gentlemen, and then in the gray here.
So, two questions, both follow up to your comments earlier. So one, both Penny and Harry commented about being careful about it being an ADU versus a duplex. Like some areas would allow both, I guess both classifications. So I guess be careful how, and I would think that duplex would be better valuation-wise versus ADU. And if there's an option, we would go that way. But I just wanted to make sure that that's correct. And the second question is, you were commenting on the landlord not being able to say, I want only to rent to women, but the owner legally can do it, I think, so. I just
No,
wanted
the owner,
to- Yes, so those are the two questions.
two questions. Let's do the
Yeah.
first one and then I'll
Yeah.
come back to,
Yeah.
we'll do that one.
So, the question I believe was, is it more advantageous for it to be a duplex versus an ADU?
Yeah, because you're saying be careful because it could be classified both ways. So my question is like, be careful about what we need to be careful about.
Well, from a lending standpoint, again, there's not a be careful issue there. It's more of a loan amount and property classification. An ADU is not considered a duplex, for example. So therefore, the loan limit would be stopped at that $680,000 here in our area. But if in fact it's a duplex, now we're up to 900 and something thousand. So that makes a huge difference, right? And that's before we even talk about future value.
Okay.
Again, that's zoning.
And it's totally about zoning.
So then when it's allowed, then you should go for the duplex, but it looks like
Absolutely.
it's a better evaluation.
Absolutely.
That isn't always the case, but most often it is the case that the duplex will have a higher value because you're looking at more options on who occupies that property. In most of our area, as we've already said, the owner has to live in one of the units, and so there's only income from, or potential income from the second unit. Where if you are in an area where the zoning allows for a duplex and not a single family with an ADU, the duplex can have both non-owner units and generate more income, which typically then would increase the value of the property. But it all comes down to what is legally zoning, what's there with zoning.
I would also mention that with regards to qualifying for the financing, okay, well, I want to buy this property and it has an ADU, or I want to buy this property and it's a duplex. Duplexes, I'm able to take 75% of either the lease rent amount or market rent amount. Once the appraisal comes back, it will have a market rent analysis in it. And I'm able to take 75% of that second unit and add it to my client's income, whatever their annual income is. So it helps from a higher qualifying standpoint as well in a duplex, triplex, fourplex situation.
And then your second question, having to do with the property owner not having to follow the laws, and they do. It's just not as easy for the property owner to get caught.